The topic of slavery in Africa, ladies and gentlemen, in the diaspora. This topic seems to be very elusive, and most of the people are saying we shouldn't be talking about slavery because slavery was abolished. It has been now 150 years since slavery was abolished or outlawed, if you like. But we as Africans know that abolishment of slavery was just a farce. Slavery will never be abolished as long as there are people in the world who think that they are superior, they are better than Africans, who think that Africans should be used, for all these sinister occurrences, And I was telling my friend the other day that people in America think that if you call yourself Mohammed or you call yourself these Arabic names, it means you are taking yourself back to Africa, or you are actually using an African name. Those Islamic names are not African. If you go to places like Saudi Arabia, you will see the sheikhs defecating in the mouth of African girls for just for gratification. And you think about those people who do that, who defecate on our queens, and you think that those people identify with us. No, they do not. They've got shops in America, and they still think that they are like us. But in fact, if you try and marry an Islamic girl when you're an African, because they call us infidels. So we need to know these things. We need to, even if they are fighting amongst each other, for instance, the fight in Palestine, it is a fight between Jews and Palestinians. We as Africans should not be intervening in that fight, because those people, like I'm saying, if you can go to Palestine and marry a Palestinian girl, that girl will be cast, will be ostracized. And if you go and try and marry the princess of the sheikh in Saudi Arabia as an African from Nigeria or South Africa or in Malawi, it's not going to happen. So let us not be fooled that these people identify themselves as Africans when it is convenient. We know exactly what is going on. Slaves were sold by Arabs, especially those Islamic Arabs. If they will give you a choice whether you will convert to Islam or be a slave. So they contributed a lot. Not to say that there were no African kings that contributed to slavery, because also African kings would attack another tribe, and if they conquer that tribe, then all those conquered soldiers from that tribe will be sold as slaves. So, but we need to know these things. We cannot. I hear people saying there were black people in America who owned slaves. Yeah, because there were those guys who were called who were very close to the slave masters. They would work in the kitchen. They've got a name. I forget the name. But anyway, we need to know. Now, I am angry today because I hear that the king of Holland, King Alexander, had a few blacks gathered around him, and he was apologizing for slavery after 150 years. Now my question is, what prompted the apology? Who is he apologizing to? Which part of slavery are you apologizing for? Because slavery was about people, mutineers who refused to be taken from Africa, who fought and died in the Atlantic Ocean. So who are you apologizing to? Because if you apologize, you need to come to Africa. Go and you can't apologize in Holland. If you apologize, you come to us here in Africa, where you took our brothers and sisters for slavery. You come here and you apologize to the kings and chiefs in Africa. They are there. They did not die. The chiefs in Africa and the kings in Africa will never die. They will be here forever, because we make kings. We are the subjects. We look after them, and we make sure that they exist, and they will always exist. And Africa will never be for sale. Even if you can come here and talk to those rogues that we vote into power, and in return they sell our country to Chinese and Europeans. But we will rise, and we will chase you out of our country, and we will take our country back to the kings and chiefs. It will be run by the kings and chiefs, and there will be no title deeds in Africa. If you come to Africa, you will come and do your business and go, but forget about buying land. If you're buying land in Africa, you are just fooling yourself. Africa is not for sale. There will be no title deeds in Africa. All Africans, wherever they could be, they are allowed to come back and enjoy their land, till their land, use their land for grazing, and stop extracting oil from Africa. Let us get away from all. Let's find other means, other technologies that will replace this oil rush, because it's destroying our environment. Look at what is happening in the Niger Delta. There is a war going in. People like Henry Oka are in jail in South Africa today because they are resisting the extraction of oil in their area, which destroys their crops. So let us come together. Let us stand up. Let us not be fooled by people like the King of Holland, who is now apologizing for slavery. We don't need that apology. Let slavery be dealt by the descendants of slaves. We don't want anybody in charge. Whether you come with reparations or you come with an apology, it doesn't mean a thing, because the damage is huge. Where do you start? Which part of slavery are you apologizing for? Because slavery is going on to this day. There is modern slavery. There is modern colonization, where people come with infrastructure development, come with foreign aid, and we will be in bondage. That is also slavery, because we have to pay this unending debt for years in end, just because you came and sold us Microsoft microchips or that technology. Now we have to pay you for that forever. You came and gave us data or Wi-Fi. We have to pay for Wi-Fi for as long as. That is also slavery. You've got our kids being bought by teams in Europe because they say they pay better. But those people are in Europe. Even if somebody dies, they cannot come back, because they've got this contract that says you must play for Man United, for Liverpool, for Dallas Cowboys, and never come back, even if there is a pressing need for you to come back. That is slavery. Even if you want to come back, they'll say, no, you've got so many years in your contract, you cannot leave. So slavery is changing its face day by day, and all we need to know is that these people don't like us. because we don't look like them. That's the only reason. And they are scared of us. That is why they killed George Floyd. That's why they killed David Jordan. And that's why they killed people like Diallo. So they just don't like us. And they are still going to kill more black people, especially in America, because this is like a target shooting or target practice. How can you do target practice on human beings? So I am saying to especially the Americans, because they think having been taken away from Africa was a blessing, because Africa is a Trump hole, like how Donald Trump calls Africa. He says it's a hole. And so people should know that being taken away from Africa was a curse. That is why there will always be these natural disasters, these tornadoes, because the ancestors are angry. They are angry with us. Tornadoes are now here with us here in Africa, but not because of all these scientific terms that we tell us. It's because our ancestors are angry as to why are we keeping quiet when the lynching continues. Jambo Africa, Jambo.